Hello, and welcome to the Electrogas Monitors Site Sentinel Model CXDM H2S Electrochemical Sensor Bump Test Tutorial. Electrogas Monitors strongly recommends you fully read and understand your owner's manual before operating this equipment. The goal of this tutorial is to help you properly bump test your H2S sensor with your controller. There are 3 different ways to perform a bump test with your H2S CXDM sensor. The first way is called a full function bump test, and the goal of this test is to challenge the sensor with a known concentration of gas and to confirm the sensor sends the proper signal to the display on the sensor, as well as sending a proper corresponding signal to your CXT controller display, and that your controller also will now send a proper signal to any external alarms or annunciators configured with this sensor. So this is a very simple test. You will require proper bump test gas. We use calibration gas of 25 parts per million H2S. We use a half a liter per minute regulator and a small amount of hose, less than 3 feet. Again, there is no special mode that you go into. What we are simply doing is challenging the sensor with gas to confirm every chained piece is working properly. So to perform a full function bump test, I will simply, in normal operating mode, turn on my calibration gas and apply gas to the bottom of my sensor and wait for the sensor to go into an alarm mode. You can wait till it reaches 25 parts per million, or you can simply confirm everything is working and remove the gas. As you can see, once we fall below the preset alarm limits, the alarms shut off automatically. That is a full function bump test. Before we perform a full function bump test, we must warn all workers in the area that we're performing this test. Otherwise, we could create a mass evacuation. The second way to perform a bump test of this sensor is using the onboard menu on the sensor. To access the onboard menu of your CXDM sensor, you simply hold the magnet to the Program 2 side of the sensor and hold it there until an arrow first appears, and without letting it go, holding it until the arrow disappears to access the menu. Arrow appears, we continue holding, it disappears, and the first menu says View Sensor Status. We make the menu appear again. Set detection range, we don't want to do that, so we hold the magnet till the arrow appears again. Before it disappears, we let it go. And we scroll through the menu until we get to bump test mode. We've arrived at the bump test mode, so we hold the magnet till the arrow appears and continue holding it until it disappears. And now it says bump test started. And now we simply apply calibration gas and perform a bump test. But what will be different in this test is because we are actually in a bump test menu on our sensor, we are disabling the signal we're sending to any relays, therefore staying silent. And the goal in this bump test is to confirm that I can actually reach the same concentration on my display that I have in my gas. I'm using 25 parts per million H2S on my calibration gas, and I can see here that I've reached 24. That qualifies as a successful bump test. So you can simply remove your hose and turn off the gas. And that is a successful bump test using the onboard bump test menu on your sensor. And you must simply now wait for the sensor to fall below an alarm level and your bump test is complete. The third way that you can do a bump test on your sensor is using the inhibit alarm menu on your CXT controller. To do that, you will enter into the program mode. And using the down arrow, inhibit and alarm test mode, press enter, and we will now notice on the left hand side of the screen we're in inhibit mode with the arrow next to the 4. The factory default is a 1. If you wish to change that, you would simply press enter by the 4 in this case, and using your up and down arrow change it. I've chosen 4 as that will allow me enough time to actually bump test 2 sensors attached to this controller at once and allow them time enough to dissipate the gas so as not to go into an alarm. So I'm set for 4 minutes. I scroll with the down arrow till I've got the arrow next to start, and I press enter. And now what I've done is started a countdown, and for the next 4 minutes, no alarms will go off on my controller. After 4 minutes, it goes back into normal operating mode, and any gas exposures will trip an alarm. So you have 4 minutes now to bump test either sensor by simply exposing them to gas. No need to go into a special mode. So here's my H2S sensor. I'm simply going to apply gas as I have done in the past without going into any special mode. And now if we look at our display, it says alarm inhibit. So even though I am now in an alarm exposure environment, because I've inhibited my alarm, it stays silent. And that is how you do a proper bump test using alarm inhibits via the onboard menu on your CXT controller. Again, Electrogas Monitors strongly recommends that you fully read and understand your owner's manual before operating any of this equipment. Thank you for watching.